Hello. Good morning. Welcome to the Farzy Show. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. 76ers Big Three debut lasts 5 minutes-ish. Tyrese Maxey, a very strict minute restriction. You know, Nick Nurse really wasn't kidding when he said that he'd be on a strict minute restriction after doing everything in practice on Tuesday. Went out there last night, played about 4 minutes or 5 minutes in the first quarter, and then didn't see him again until the third quarter. And then when he was back out there for the third quarter, Paul George got hurt like 30 seconds into that. So, yeah, maybe 4.5 to 5 minutes. Yeah, they were actually playing together. That was fun. We're having fun now. Paul George is some good news. That Paul George's injury, he was moving around a little bit. They thought he might come back in the game, and then he had some issues, so they held him out. But it's the same knee that was hyperextended, bone bruised in the preseason. Sixers are now 2-12 after last night's loss to the Memphis Grizzlies. Joel Embiid had 35 points. Joel Embiid had 11 rebounds. And I described it this way on the postcast. It is the most frustrating 35 points I've seen from Joel Embiid. And I don't mean anything he was doing where he looked frustrated. I'm just talking about knowing that is in Joel Embiid, and all that is needed is, Tyrese Maxey calling him out about dedication to his craft and being on time and apparently having to be coached harder. 35 points after a nudging from Tyrese Maxey, from Nick Nurse, Kyle Lowry, who didn't play, by the way, last night. That's in Joel Embiid. And I knew it. I just knew it going into the game, that if he did have an incredible game, it was kind of how I felt about his debut, Joel Embiid's debut. I thought he'd go out there and, 30 points, and it would be frustrating. Well, he didn't get 30 points in his debut. He struggled in his debut. He looked like a guy every second. Hey, can I get out of the game? I need a break. Play himself into basketball shape. So he did not perform up to the expectation in his debut. And last night, he performed up to the expectation in terms of 35 points, 11 rebounds, and he played 35 minutes. Yeah, a point a minute last night for the big fella, Joel Embiid. Maxey played 20 minutes. He had 8 points. Jared McCain played damn near 40 minutes. He had 20 points. Paul George never got anything going in the first half anyway. So he's certainly looking to find his way. And Nick Nurse started Jared McCain and Tyrese Maxey at the same time. And during his press conference after the game last night, he talked about how when Maxey really gets his legs back under him, because it certainly looked like Maxey was struggling last night in the game, trying to get his legs back under him. But when he was doing that, he said, or whenever he does get his legs back under him, he's going to have Jared McCain play the point guard and Tyrese Maxey play the shooting guard. Okay. That's a small 1-2, but I'll take it at this point because there's really going to be no other option for the 76ers. It was another rough one last night, and this time it wasn't the third quarter that got the Sixers. It was the second quarter that got the Sixers. They got outscored by 10 points in that second quarter. Desmond Bane was just going off. The entire Memphis Grizzlies team was just knocking down threes left and right. I think the final count was 7 members of the Grizzlies finished with at least 2 3-pointers made. Hey, that's fun. There's a 117 and 111 loss. Sixers put up a little bit of a fight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 members of the Grizzlies hit at least 2 3-pointers in the game, on their way to a 19 for 43 shooting night from beyond the arc. 19 for 43 for 44.2% compared to the Sixers who shot 11 of 33. Good times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different members of the Grizzlies finished in double figures in scoring, with 2 finishing with 20 or more, 21 or more points. It wasn't fun. It wasn't fun. Also, there was a point where Joel Embiid grabbed his knee and hobbled off the court and went to the bench and then came right back in the game. There was also a point where Joel Embiid went to the locker room. I think it was between the second and fourth quarter, and he came right back in the game. He's a warrior, folks. He's a warrior. But the Sixers lost last night. Now they got to face the Nets tomorrow night. So that'll be good times. 2-12. Let me just get this stat out of the way for the good people. In case you haven't seen this one yet, I caught this with SVP, earlier this morning. 6 for 90, 6 of 92. 6 of 92. What does that mean? Teams that have started a season 2-12 or worse went on to make the playoffs 6 out of 92 times. I would ask the question, of those 92 teams, how many of those teams had an MVP caliber player coming back to the lineup? How many of those teams had the discovery of the front runner right now to be Rookie of the Year in Jared McCain? How many of those teams missed another All-Star for Tyrese Maxey? How many of those teams had to work in a guy like Paul George? I'm telling you this to just try to keep some semblance of sanity for the idea and the hope and the dream. And it's not a pipe dream. That's why I'm telling you this. That the 76ers can still make the playoffs. And I think, and I'm confident, the 76ers will still make the playoffs. Yeah, that's right. That's right. That was not whiskey, by the way. That was still my espresso. Anyway, yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that of those 6 teams, they didn't have that going for them. Many of those 92 teams did not have that going for them. So, oh, by the way, that was, they don't have the year. Yeah. Since whatever. No. So, I guess it's just NBA history. Good times. We're having a good time. It's the worst start since 2014, 2015. So it continues to be fun. More on that later, and we'll hear from Nick Nurse. I don't know if you guys. Okay, so that was the optimistic thing. Here's the negative thought. Philadelphia Eagles had the epic collapse last year. 10-1 going in to face the San Francisco 49ers, with the 49ers coming to town. The big Dom Greenlaw fiasco on the sidelines, and the Eagles just get blown out. Going into that game, I'd have made a lot of this. The Eagles had 2 games where they won by more than 10 points, by 10 or more points. They had 2 games that they won by a bigger margin than 10 points. The year before, they had 6. They controlled games. They did not do that going into the San Francisco 49ers game last year. But I know with some people riding the high of last year, thinking that the Eagles at 10-1 were Super Bowl bound, I was very skeptical all along the way. And I established that a new line of thinking for myself when it came to every single team I'd watch for the rest of my life. And when I was watching that Philadelphia Eagles team, and unfortunately it came to fruition in the last 6 games of the season, including the playoffs, when they won 1 game. And the thing that came to mind was when you talk and talk and talk about a team finding ways to win, they're not that good. When it becomes the MO for the season, you're not that good. Now you can say, oh, they're winning games. They're great. No. No more. Will that inspire? It'll be all about how they win these games. If they just eke out a whole season, I'm not going to be confident that when push comes to shove in the postseason, when they face better teams more frequently, that they're going to eke out those wins. It cannot be the mantra of a season. It could be, a couple of, they had a rough December, but, they found ways to win. Give me a month. I'll give you a month of that. The thing that is so comforting about this Philadelphia Eagles team this year, and why I have confidence that they're not going to have another awful demise, another awful collapse like they did last year, is the fact that they are dominating. 26 or more points in 5 straight games during this 6-game winning streak. Of course, the only one they didn't was against the Browns, the one that started this winning streak. And afterwards, if you remember, Nick Sirianni yelled at the fans, and everyone was pissed off. I was pissed off. I wasn't happy. But I did tell you at the time. I did say it at the time. Watch this be the flower power moment. Watch this be the moment where everyone's talking about the head coach and the team hears everybody talking about the head coach, and then this head coach stinks and it's going to cost the team. And then everyone on the team shows you how great the head coach is by going out there and putting their best foot forward and winning football games and dominating football games. It might sound weird. It might sound high school hairy, but here we are, a 6-game winning streak, and the Eagles at 8-2 on the season and 26 or more points in these games. It is bonkers. And I said it all the while. I don't know what it is that Nick Sirianni does, but he must command the hell out of a meeting because these players play for him. These players get inspired by him, and these players have his back. I don't get it, but they love the guy. So much, in fact, that they're willing to change over coordinators a couple of times. The owner of the team is willing to go yacht shopping because it's not even close to, not even on his mind to fire Nick Sirianni at the end of last year and let him run it back, so to speak, as being the head coach. Well, a couple of things came out of yesterday. One was why Nick Sirianni, when he was addressing the media, why he feels like this team ain't last year's team, why this year's team will not have that collapse, why they're going to avoid that, why he's so confident they've corrected mistakes from last year. And also Jalen Hurts addressed the media yesterday where he talked about Kellen Moore. And the question was a pretty basic this time of year question where there's head coaching jobs that are opening already around the NFL. And Kellen Moore's name is supposed to be on the short list of many teams to be the next head coach of that franchise. So Jalen Hurts got asked about that yesterday with Kellen Moore. And he didn't even want to talk about Kellen Moore leaving. He started the question by saying, yeah, I'm not going to answer that part of it. Because the second part of the question was, what does Kellen Moore bring to the table? And here's what Jalen Hurts had to say about his offensive coordinator and what he brings to the table.
You know, he's added a new approach. I think everything's about point of view, you know, and everybody sees the game differently. As you've heard me say many times that there are you know, X's and O's are kind of one and the same to an extent. Everybody has their different flavor of stuff, and Coach Kellen will say that himself. But it's about how you teach it. It's about how you're coaching certain things. It's about how you run it and how you execute it. And I think for him, he's brought a unique approach. He's brought some new visions for us, and I think it's helped us. I think he's definitely added a dimension for us and who he is and his philosophy of being multiple. And so and I think there's another dynamic to him that's new to him, and having a guy back there that's mobile and can play the game and stretch the defense in multiple ways. And so I think it's always an adjustment, a navigation and all of those things. But nonetheless, he's been great.
The thing that really stuck out to me there was the way he teaches, the way you teach it, because so much of that gets lost. Like there have been guys that I think have been the guy that I jump to always when I talk about coaches versus teachers. Like I think it's funny, both of them are in basketball. Doug Collins, I thought was a really good coach. I thought he was a really bad teacher. All right. I thought Brett Brown was a really good teacher. I didn't think he was that great a coach, obviously, but like there's a difference in coaching, and I know both those are basketball situations, so not to throw you the curveball, but those are the two names I think of when I think about really showing the or explaining or giving an example of one versus the other. And I don't know what Nick Sirianni's philosophy is on teaching. I don't know what his philosophy is as coaching, but when it comes to being able to run a team meeting, apparently he's the best. Jason Kelsey is referred to him as such when it comes to running those team meetings. I don't know what Brian Johnson's deal was. I don't know what Shane Steichen's deal was, but maybe I'd like to assume that Kellen Moore coming in, his teaching style or his at least ability to teach was more along the lines of a Shane Steichen. Maybe he is comparing him in his mind without saying it to Nick Sirianni in terms of their teaching styles as coaches. But what he brings to the table are those wrinkles that we've heard so much about throughout this season. And what he brings to the table is the ability to explain what he wants to execute on the football field, or at least what he wants you to execute on the football field. The question, first part of it, is about him coaching somewhere else. And one of my biggest fears going into this season with Nick Sirianni still being the head coach is that you're going to hire an offensive coordinator who is going to have all these great weapons in A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, this offensive line, that offensive line coach, apparently 2 decent tight ends. One of them has to stay healthy, and he's a pretty damn good tight end in Dallas Goedert. You have all that at your disposal. It's hard to mess that up. And I think the Eagles' philosophy last year with Brian Johnson was, hey, we'll be fine. We got all these weapons. Not Saquon Barkley, but DeAndre Swift. Hey, we got all these weapons offensively. You can't screw this up. Anybody who's ever coached any side of offensive football, they're going to be fine with this. They got a little too cocky, a little too confident. And that obviously didn't work because apparently more fell on the lap of an unprepared Nick Sirianni. This year, it's Kellen Moore. So my concern going into this year with Nick Sirianni coming back was, well, hold on a second. So now we're going to get into this vicious cycle. So now we're going to fire, or not fire, we're going to let another coordinator go. And then what? We're going to have another Brian Johnson year? We're going to have another year of like, all right, now we got to really figure it out. Unless the Eagles' strategy, and if you remember, there was a story from a couple of months ago about before the season, in the offseason here, about Jeffrey Lurie wanting Nick Sirianni to develop into Andy Reid, and him being confident, Jeffrey Lurie being confident that Nick Sirianni could do that. He likes a project. He sees a lot of Andy Reid. I think it was Tim McManus. Sees a lot of Andy Reid in Nick Sirianni. So is this all part of the learning process for Nick Sirianni, where the Eagles are banking on the idea that this offense is going to be great for the rest of the year? Kellen Moore's going to get a job elsewhere. Nick Sirianni is going to take over all play calling again and game planning, and he's going to be ready to do that. If that's their plan, I don't like it. I don't like it even a little bit. Because apparently you also had Nick Sirianni take over a lot of the play calling last year, and that didn't look too good. So now I'm worried about, and I was before the season, of the vicious cycle. Now we got to fire. Now we got to move on from another. I keep saying fire. Now you got to move on from another offensive coordinator and bring in another one and make sure he's on the same page with Jalen Hurts and make sure he's on the same page with Nick Sirianni and make sure he falls in line with what his role is supposed to be. Or will it be another offensive coordinator that Nick Sirianni is tabbing as completely? He runs the offense. He is in charge of the offense. That's the concern. Because the thing isn't just about having one good year. It's about sustained success. Eagles, obviously, last year weren't able to do that at the end of the year. And this year, Nick Sirianni is confident that they've corrected the mistakes and they will be able to sustain that success, similar to the way they did in 2022. I'm skeptical that they'll be able to do it. I know, hey, look, this is putting the cart way before the horse. But the conversation came up. And it's in the back of my mind. 8-2. Got a game against the Rams. You're favored to win on the road. Your offense is clicking. Your defense has been spectacular. You're actually getting turnover. You're actually +2 now, ladies and gentlemen, in the turnover category. Turnover differential, you're +2. I didn't think that was allowed, but here we are. It's in the back of my mind. But I think that this team with Saquon Barkley is more talented than what you were putting out there on the football field last year. And really, it's on both sides. I mean, are you more confident in the triumvirate of Slay, Bradbury, Maddox? Or are you more confident in the triumvirate of Slay, Quenyon, Mitchell, and Cooper DeJean? Are you more confident in that? Oh, and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I'm a little bit more confident in that than what we were watching last year. Linebacker-wise, much better room. God, we were pining over Zach Cunningham last year to return from injury. Pining over it. And now you're watching Zach Bond and the Kobe Dean deal. Jalen Carter, I talked a lot about him yesterday, really coming into his own this year. I have a lot more confidence in this football team than I did last year's football team. And, their point differential is a hell of a lot better, too. So I have a lot more confidence. Now, as for why Nick Sirianni is more confident in this team, as far as how they have corrected their mistakes, Nick Sirianni was asked about that question yesterday. What do you see, Nick? What do you see from this team versus what you saw last year that makes you think, hey, you're not going to have that collapse again?
We had it didn't work. There was things that happened last year that we feel like we've corrected, that we're on the right track, and try not to focus. We've made those corrections already to last year, and so we're trying you don't focus too much on that. You just work on what you can try to build each day. But I really feel like this team continues to grow closer each day. We got great teammates, we got great leaders. Winning is contagious, and so you build on that success that you've had. But I think the other thing I see is just the hunger of everyone, to get better. And that's all I can point out from this year's team. Forget last year's team. We've learned from those mistakes that we've made from last year. Myself, the team, everybody. I really noticed this year's team that we're getting closer as a football team, and just have that hunger to get better each day.
The one thing, again, going back to the point differential, is the Eagles are at plus 80 this year. For the season last year, they were at plus 5. That's not good. Plus 80, by the way, is the third best in the NFL. Lions, Bills, Eagles are the top 3 in the NFL this year. And just for fun, the Dallas Cowboys are at minus 106. That's fun. I think that certainly matters, especially when you look at the way the last year Eagles played versus the way this year's Eagles play. But when you talk about Nick Sirianni and what he had to say about it yesterday, he also went back to the details. He said, last year we felt like we were going with the details. Last year we felt like we had a close-knit locker room, and it just didn't work out. Despite still having Jason Kelce in the locker room, despite still having Fletcher Cox in the locker room, it didn't come together. I don't know what he identified. I just think it's a better football team. I think it's really that simple. And I think the number one reason that this Eagles team is not going to have any type of historic collapse again is because of one name. And it ain't Kellen Moore. It's not Jalen Hurts. The receivers are the same. Saquon Barkley is every bit of the game changer I was hoping, you were hoping, certainly Howie Roseman was hoping, the New York Giants were hoping he wasn't. He's every bit of it. And watching him at Penn State, watching him with the Giants, I have said this throughout his entire career, he's one of the greatest running backs I've ever seen play. And he might be the best by the time it's all said and done. Keep in mind, a little young for Barry Sanders. I didn't say the greatest of all time. I said I've seen. I saw Barry Sanders. I was a pup when I saw Barry Sanders, so a little unfair there. But everything that guy can do. When he put on an Eagles uniform, when the news became – I told you guys before Saquon Barkley was signed here in Philadelphia and the rumors were out there. I think it was Mike Lombardi put it out there. I was like, yeah, right. Please, not happening. And it happened. And I've never been happier to be wrong. The Eagles brought him in, and he was an absolute game changer. And what he could bring to the table, he can obviously, look, run the football, certainly. Catch the ball out of the backfield, absolutely, unless it's against the Falcons. Damn it. Control the game. Control the clock. In terms of, in case of emergency, give it to Saquon. And it still boggles my mind that you look at that game against the Commanders, and it was a little tight, and then Saquon Barkley ran for 62 yards and 2 touchdowns in 20 seconds. Game changer. Now, did Reed Blankenship had a nice little interception in the midst of all that? Oh, yeah, in the middle of all that? Yeah, he absolutely did. And then Saquon made him pay, including 39-yard touchdown run. That's pretty damn good. Saquon is the biggest difference maker from last year to this year. Kellen Moore's great. Really enjoyed what I've seen from Kellen Moore. A lot of it, and I know Jeff McClain has pointed this out a few times, a lot of what the Eagles are doing this year and having success with is what Nick Sirianni was doing with this team in 2022 with Shane Steichen. And the Eagles certainly look like they have gotten back to that. But really, Saquon, it all comes down to the talent on the field and the incredible ability that Saquon Barkley possesses in both the passing and the run game. Mostly run, we know. He also ate a blitz, by the way, to help Jalen Hurts stay on his feet and complete a pass against the Commanders. That wasn't happening earlier in the year, so maybe we're getting a better version of that from Saquon Barkley. But Saquon Barkley, every bit of the game changer that the Eagles were hoping he would be when they signed him, and he has been that. So you go out on the road, you go out to the West Coast, you take on the Rams, a team that could certainly light it up with their passing game. They're going to be going up against this Eagles stout pass defense, stout defense in general. And if they get it going somehow, magically, they're able to beat Guantanamo Bay. By the way, Quinyon Mitchell said that he likes that nickname, Guantanamo Bay. They're able to beat Cooper DeJean and Darius Slay and these guys, then the Eagles can start slowing things down, keeping that offense off the field with a stout run game. All because of Saquon Barkley. Oh, yeah, and this offensive line happens to be pretty damn good, too. Saquon behind this offensive line is doing exactly what you would want Saquon behind this offensive line doing. So if you're looking for differences between last year and this year, it's all about Saquon. Going around the locker room yesterday, Darius Slay said something interesting about Quinyon Mitchell. And he said he's old. The reporter, was it Uram? I think it was Dave Uram. The reporter was asking him, hey, so you have a young guy like Quinyon Mitchell. What's the – and boom, right there, Darius Slay cut him off. And he was like, no, he's old. And Dave paused for a minute. He was like, you're talking about the rookie, right? And he's like, no. I understand he's young, but he's old. That's what Darius Slay was saying at the locker room or at the locker yesterday. He's like, no, he's an old, 22-year-old. People think you're talking about as a kid. No. Wise beyond his years. And I think his play would certainly dictate that opinion. And I was thinking about it after I heard Slay say that. You got in football, Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean playing like veterans. In basketball, you're watching this kid, Jared McCain, come up and just no holds barred, just absolutely go out there and do play exactly how he wants to play. He's not curtailing his game to anybody. He's going out there and putting his best foot forward. This is the best version of me. I'm going to go out there and put it all out there on the court, and I'm going to be confident in my abilities. You got 3 guys here in Philadelphia active right now. Matvey Mishkov in hockey. He needed a little kick in the butt from John Tortorella, apparently. Since then, pretty damn good. 4 guys. 2 of them having to play next to each other a lot with the Eagles. One on the outside, one on the slot. I certainly hope this is the Philadelphia sports scene in some pretty good hands for the near future. And I know I've been excited about guys in the past, and most of them have been disappointing. Ben Simmons is the first name that comes to mind. Brooklyn Net, Ben Simmons. But I'm looking at these young guys, and all of them look wise beyond their years. When I look at Cooper, Mishkov, Mitchell, and McCain. Now, if the Sixers could just win basketball games, it'd be a whole different story. Fingers crossed. The Flyers had a nice little run until the last 2 games. Yesterday wasn't too good. Yesterday was pretty bad. John Tortorella was pretty funny funny, he was real on Scott Lawton. All right, we're not going to turn the puck over, and we're going to be responsible. Lawton turnover. Get on the bench. In the first minute. And then after the game, Tortorella's like, if they don't show me that they're listening to my message and acting with my message, you're going to be on the bench. Lost, you can't do that. Anyway. Flyers lost. But yeah, that's what you got. Oh, all right. Sixers last night. I started talking about it. Here's your head coach, Nick Nurse, on whether or not that team meeting had any effect on the effort given by the Sixers last night.
Listen, we didn't put enough together again for 48. I thought again we just got kind of out hustled, just out athleted, out toughed a little bit at the basket in the first half. Second half was obviously better as far as that. It's just searching for lineups that would be able to go out there and play a little more physical and play a little bit better together, etc.
Out athleted, Out-athleted. They were out-athleted in last night's game. I got to be honest. I thought last night was a really good example of effort was good. Shots weren't falling. There were a couple instances where like everybody touched the ball on the Grizzlies on a possession leading up to a missed shot because guys were being shut down in terms of swinging it around the perimeter, trying to get it inside. Joel Embiid would seal off the man. They'd have to kick it back outside. And then maybe on that instance, on a couple of those instances, yeah, they knocked down some threes. But they were taking away opportunities where they were trying to get the penetration into the lane. They'd have to kick it back out because they were sealed off in the paint. And then that's when they started raining threes. But there were a couple of instances where they would miss those shots, and it was all because of some pretty solid defense. Desmond Bane was hitting shots with hands in his face. Like, what more do you want to do? Just to go up there and just elbow him? Which wouldn't have been the worst idea after he had that, pantomime shooting motion at Caleb Martin. I had no issue with Caleb Martin taking exception to that. That was a little disrespectful, if you ask me. If you didn't see it, Desmond Bane just looked right at Caleb Martin and just like made the I'd shoot you moment or shoot you pantomime. And I'm like, I don't know if I like that. I don't think that. Nope. I know for a fact I don't like that. But yeah, he was pretty much going off last night. That was not good. But watching it throughout the entire game, I thought the effort from the Sixers was overall good. I just didn't think that they played well. I didn't think that they played well. I didn't think that they shot well. Again, Tyrese Maxey last night plays 20 minutes, gives you 8 points, has 4 points in the first quarter. They sit him down, and he's 0 for 6 from beyond the arc, 3 for 13 from the field. 2 free throws last night for Tyrese Maxey. Yeah, this was him spinning his wheels, which is okay. First game back. Now against Brooklyn, you got your legs back under you, hopefully, and you have like a 25-point, 30-point performance. Let's cross our fingers for that one. By the way, I think I said Jared McCain played near 40 points. He played 41. 41 points, 20 minutes, 6 of 13, 3 of 7 from beyond the arc, 5 of 5. Still draining free throws. Jared McCain. In 41 minutes, he had 3 turnovers. That's not terrible. Still would like to have 0, but still not terrible. When it comes to his free throws, by the way, do I have his total? 32 of 32, knock on wood, for 100%. He was an 88.4 free throw shooter at Duke, and he's 100% in the NBA. How about that? As far as the Paul George injury went, Paul George didn't look particularly sharp, even in the first half when he was out there. That was troublesome. But with about 30 seconds to go, 30 seconds into the third quarter, so 30 seconds into the second half, Paul George goes up for a rebound. I thought originally he rolled his left ankle. Didn't look bad. So I was like, oh, okay, that's just a little, probably just caught him off guard, whatever. And then they showed the angle from behind Paul George, from behind the play, from the baseline. And Paul George went up over Desmond Bane, and it looked like he was trying to avoid stepping on Desmond Bane's foot. So his left foot goes out a little bit. And then I'm looking at his foot, but really what you should be watching is his knee. And his knee has an awkward landing to it. And it looked a lot like what you saw in the preseason. He goes down. He gives the ball to Embiid. He got the rebound. Gives the ball to Embiid. Embiid dribbles up. Paul George goes down on the baseline right there. Timeout. They sub him out. He goes back to the locker room, does not return to the game. Later on, you get the report from Shams Charania that he has hyperextended his left knee, the same knee that he injured in the preseason, and it was chalked up as a bone bruise. So after the game, Nick Nurse is addressing the media, and he's asked about, all right, so what's the deal there? And he's like, yeah, it was just kind of awkward and went down weird, and hopefully it'll be okay. Is it structural? I don't know if I left the question in here, but here he is talking about whether or not it's a structural issue with Paul George.
Do you know enough right now to be able to rule out structural damage, or is that?
I think so. I think they said it was similar to last time, which was a bone bruise, I think. Yeah, and they actually did, work him there. He was again, you never know what happens. He was actually fairly close to coming back in the game, but then it kind of stiffened up as he got, out a little bit more. So we decided not to, and now we got to take a look at it, make sure.
I think my feelings can best be summed up by Vic Fangio. Ugh. Thank you, Vic. The term, "this is why we can't have nice things," that definitely comes to mind. It's good that it's a bone bruise, supposedly. So they'll get more information today, as you just heard. But the positive thing is that it's not going to be a long-term thing. I just hope it's something that's not nagging him for a long term. And I'd like to see him actually come in and play as the guy that they signed in this offseason. That'd be nice. But here's what I am looking forward to. I'm looking forward to the 1-2 punch of Maxey and McCain as your 1 and 2, with Maxey with McCain as your 1, Maxey as your 2. I'm looking forward to Joel Embiid continuously playing himself into better shape. Now, I say the effort overall as a team was good. There was, in the early goings of the game, it was the first quarter, and Joel Embiid is out there on the floor. Sixers are hanging there with the Memphis Grizzlies. Actually, when that came out and played well in that first quarter. And there was one instance where Joel Embiid, I think it was his first 5 minutes, he was definitely, you could tell he was being aggressive and going after the rim offensively. And then there was a moment where he had an opportunity to pull down a rebound, and he just stood there. And the Grizzlies ended up getting the offensive rebound by going around Embiid. And I've never looked at Joel Embiid and thought that he ever had spring in his, springs in his ankles. He always looks like he's laboring, especially on the defensive end. But there were a couple other instances as well where guys would be dribbling into the lane, and either he would step in the lane and then they would reverse course and say, all right, bad idea. Or there was instances where guys would get the ball on the block in front of him and he'd be able to shut him down. But little rebounds like that. He had 11 last night to lead the team, fine. But he played 35 minutes, so he should be pulling down rebounds in that time. I still think he's a guy that is playing himself back into shape. I thought offensively the effort last night was great from him. I didn't like him having the ball in his hands trying to dribble in, and I know his jersey was pulled. Forget who it was. While he was dribbling in the lane when it was 115 to 111 late in that fourth quarter. I think 25 seconds left, and he had Jared McCain. It was the ball. They get the rebound. They kick it out. He's running with it. Gets the ball at the perimeter, puts it on the ground, goes to dribble in, loses it. I don't think he was going to Kelly Oubre in the corner because Kelly Oubre was collapsing. I think he was trying to get a shot off. The play I like is hit Jared McCain on the perimeter for the chance at the 3, and then you're down a point with the ball going the other way. I think that would be the better option. They opted not to do that for whatever reason. And that was a rough one. But watching Joel Embiid throughout the night, offensively, the effort was a lot better. 14 of 14 from the free throw line versus 0 free throws in the previous game against the Heat. You saw him do a lot of the things that makes him, a 30-point per game type of guy. Hooking through, drawing the foul while getting the shot off and getting to the free throw line. And also getting a breather, by the way. Let's not forget about that aspect of it. You saw that a bunch throughout last night, but defensively, legs aren't there. Not yet. I thought effort-wise for what he was able to do was good, but in terms of ability, not there yet. And then hopefully Maxey just needed this one game to get under his belt before he gets back into the swing of things. Hey, let me tell you about the great people at MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Download the MyBookie app to your phone. Create an account. Use promo code Farzy. Get up to $1,000 redeemable cash bonus at MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Want to bet on the world of television? You can bet on the world of television. Sports, of course, you can bet on the world of sports. Download the app, create an account, use promo code Farzy on MyBookie, and get up to $1,000 redeemable cash bonus at MyBookie, mybookie.ag. How about PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's phlsportsnation.com. How about the Game Time app? Want to go to the game? Want to go to the concert? Want to go to the comedy show? Game Time app has you covered when it comes to tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. Don't forget about the Game Time Picks feature, which allows you to filter out all the fluff and get right down to it. The best seats for the best prices on the Game Time app. So it saves you some time with the Game Time Picks feature, so you don't have to filter out literally over thousands of tickets. Best seats, best prices when you toggle that feature. Game Time Picks on the Game Time app. Also, toggle the all-in pricing feature and see exactly what you're paying before you check out, so there's no sticker shock when you go to checkout. All that on the Game Time app. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, and get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. Terms apply. How about Sky Motorcars? SkyMotorcars.com. Check out Brett's amazing inventory at SkyMotorcars.com. Let's get into the chat check and see how you wonderful people are doing on this fine Thursday morning already. Goodness gracious. April. April, welcome to the Farzy Show, 6:45 to 7:25-ish. Why Niners? Why? Good morning, Farzy and friends. Only 2 minutes of 2-win Sixers today. Yes, your new rule that you established yesterday. One thing I didn't do was check the standings before the show. It pains me to check the standings. 2-12. Ooh, worst record in the NBA now. 143 winning percentage is below the 154 winning percentage of the Washington Wizards. That's great. Sixers are the worst team in the NBA. Boom, 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 boom. What did I just say? Sixers are the worst team in the NBA? Ugh. We're having fun. We're having fun, everyone. We're having fun. Thank you, Wine Niners Wine. Nice to see you. Wait, here we go. A man called David. Hello, David. Pin 96.7. What's going on? Jason A. Hello. This is bad with the Sixers. I agree. Shaq would have been able to hit a 3 last night on the Sixers, says April. Yeah, I think so. Sean Gillespie, good morning. Sean Gillespie, hello. Sean Curry, good morning, everyone. I like Ice Cube said, today is a good day. Like my youngest daughter said, happy birthday, old man. Hey! Is it your birthday today, Sean? Like Ice Cube said, today is a good day. Like my youngest daughter said, happy birthday, old man Farzy. Get that win Sunday night, which would be great to end birthday this weekend. Let's go. Happy birthday, Sean. That's awesome, man. There we go. Oh, yeah, it is. There we go. April saying happy birthday. Look at us in the chat, all having a good time. Quinion the Warden Mitchell. Bring on Cooper Kupp. Look forward to this matchup. Oh, man. Boy, do I. Add Cooper Kupp. Add Puka Nacua. Add him to the list. I was watching some highlights of Puka Nacua and just, who was it? Was it Orlovsky that was breaking it down? It was just how they'll use Puka Nacua in blocking situations in motion and then use that same type of play design on a play where he goes out, like goes deep for a ball, like running through the line of scrimmage, basically. Yeah, it can be confusing if you're Cooper DeJean, if you're Quentin Mitchell, if you're Darius Slay, whoever you might be. People saying happy birthday to Sean Kilrain. One Sean to another. Happy birthday. Luke Skylifter, we are 6-0 since Nick got the Farzy haircut. Now, I'm shaved and I'm bald. Nick Sirianni is not a member of the bald community, as our founding member, Larry David, would refer to it. He wasn't even shaved. He was buzzed, and he ain't bald. He's got a full head of lovely hair. I got to give it to him. NFL needs to set rules about even contacting a working coach during the season. Sean, I 1,000% agree with you. Why am I watching my team get ready for a playoff game and having to read about, oh, they're not going to be here working. They're going to be preparing for the job of the lifetime of being a head coach? Why is that allowed? I hate that that's allowed. Oh, well, coaches have they have an off day. Do they really have an off day? I don't think they have an off day. I absolutely hate that you're reading about even Jonathan Gannon. Oh, that I didn't mind it so much. But Jonathan Gannon and Shane Steichen going out on interviews while they should be getting ready for, I don't know, the Super Bowl. It's crazy. Why Niners won? Flyers have 8 wins. So does that mean we get 4 times more Flyers talk than Sixers? Don't think so. We dem Sixers. That's hilarious. Damn straight it would be. Ooh, Jalen Carter is going to eat. All right. I'll have Jalen Carter. Brian Pumper, what's going on? Joel Embiid will give you offense, but man, he was very bad on defense. Far as he like Andre Drummond status defense, he might be cooked. I don't think he's cooked. I don't think he's played. I still don't think he's in shape. Look, here's what this is what pisses me off. And I started the show with this: 35 points in 35 minutes. And it was the most frustrating 35 points from Joel Embiid in a long time because it just showed that he just needs a little needling, little nudge. And all of a sudden he's put up 35 points in 35 minutes. Drives me crazy. You know, part of me really does look forward to the day where this is Tyrese Maxey and it's not going to be for a while, unfortunately, but Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCain's team. Because I don't have to question whether or not Tyrese Maxey wants to play basketball. I don't think we're ever going to have to question whether or not Jared McCain wants to play basketball. But always I'm looking at Joel Embiid, I'm like, oh, what version of Joel Embiid are we going to get? Joel Embiid's kind of like, if you're in your friend group, maybe you have someone like this. I know at one point we did, but then, we really became adults and parents and we just didn't deal with this anymore. But in your friend group, you might have that one person that's just like, oh, like if they just have they have a real fluctuating attitude about life. And one thing could set them off in a negative direction. I'm not even saying nasty, but a Debbie Downer in your friend group. And you're just worried about, I used to give you another comparison within a comparison. I used to work with a guy and it was years ago. And it was like, if this guy's attitude was crap, then we just knew everyone's day was going to be miserable. So I used to compare it to a sick relative. Like you go to visit a sick relative and you're like, today was a good day. Today was a bad day. That kind of thing. Joel Embiid is exactly like that. Like, oh, yesterday, 35 points in 35 minutes. Today was a good day. How was his defense? Well, it wasn't a great day, but it was a good day. That's what it feels like with Joel Embiid. It's a fluctuating relationship, fluctuating vibe with Joel Embiid. But the good times are right there. They're there for the taking. It's just a matter of whether or not his attitude acknowledges it. Paul George has the same issue 3 different times. Yeah, we're having fun. Can't trust the Sixers about injuries ever again, especially this regime. Cue Fangio again. All right. That's enough. 3 times a show. That's the limit. By the Fangio Council, that's all we're allowed. All right, anyway. Why do I keep clicking the wrong thing in this thing? All right, here we go. Chris, go Birds. There we go. There we go, Chris. Go Birds. Oh, wow, really? Why not as well? Anyone headed to Northeast Pennsylvania, be careful of snowstorms starting at 1600. Military? Much? Embiid is playing like Ben Simmons on defense, 4-on-5. Wow. Well, Ben Simmons was actually a good defender. You mean like modern day Ben Simmons? When he was here, it's all he had. I had this. It's funny you say that, Brian, because I had this thought yesterday. One of my takeaways I didn't get to yesterday during the show about Joel Embiid's meeting. Joel Embiid's meeting. Kyle Lowry called the meeting, and I feel like that's lost on a lot of people because the headline is Maxey calls out Embiid. The headline to me really is Maxey emerges as team leader. That's the bigger headline to me. And a couple of things. Lowry calling the meeting makes me feel like Nick Nurse called the meeting. Kyle Lowry, let's not forget, is a Nick Nurse guy. Was with him in Toronto for all those years. I would not be surprised if it later came out that Nick Nurse said to his guy, Kyle Lowry, like, look, dude, there's nothing else I can say. There's nothing else I can do. This needs to come from within. This, in the players organization. This needs to come from the players. I need you to get this together because I know you see it too. I know you see it too. Kyle Lowry, by the way, this is all speculation, but I wouldn't be surprised to learn if later on it came out that Nurse nudged Lowry to call the meeting, and then 90 minutes of airing of grievances, players calling out coaches, coaches calling out players, coach me harder, play harder, fine, shake hands. Tyrese Maxey saying to Joel Embiid, be on time, dude. You know, wouldn't be surprised if all that came out. But one of the things that I think is going to be a motivating factor, I believe, for Joel Embiid is I think this meeting might have helped him realize that right now he is the Ben Simmons. And that's why it's interesting you put it like that, Brian. Maybe the meeting made Joel Embiid look at the mirror and go, hold on a second. I'm the older statesman. I'm the 30-year-old, going to be 31 in March. I got to look at the mirror and realize that I'm the problem here. Ben Simmons was the problem then. I'm the problem now. Now, is it as much of a problem as Ben Simmons? No, obviously not. But in terms of the one guy that really needs to correct what he's doing, oh, it's Joel Embiid. The one guy holding the team back, oh, it's Joel Embiid. Now, he needs to get healthy. He needs to get in shape. And he needs to go out there and he needs to dominate. He needs to do the thing that he would always talk about doing. I just need to be dominant. Yeah, just go out there and be dominant then. If this was the final, oh, God, I hate this phrase. And I know we got into this yesterday. If this was the final ramp-up game, then okay, fine. Then go dominate against the Nets and go on a nice run. Because I see the Sixers team, they could rattle up, not right now, but I know at some point during the season they're going to rattle up a 10-game winning streak. They're going to get hot. Again, of those 92 teams, the 6 that made the playoffs, okay, what was their season like in terms of acquisitions or getting players healthy or something like that? Firing a head coach, getting the team to rally around each other again. What was the situation? But of the 92 teams, how many of them had a Joel Embiid getting healthy, ramping up? How many of those guys were missing Tyrese Maxey only to get him back? How many of those guys were discovering that Jared McCain, or at least you had a Rookie of the Year candidate, leader in the clubhouse right now, Jared McCain, to be the Rookie of the Year? How many of those guys? How many of those teams had guys like that getting healthy, coming back, or at least establishing themselves in the NBA? That's my question right there. Brian Plum, interesting. Well, why do you think it was leaked? Because people want to know. People want to know. Nick Nurse leaked it. I agree with that. Yeah. No, that's Brian. I'm on the same page with you. That's the exact reason it was leaked, to have more effect. If it gets out, do you think it's not more motivating to Joel Embiid to realize that, oh wait, everyone's realizing I'm the problem? Yeah, okay, I'll correct that. Thanks everybody in the chat. You guys are great as per usual. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. I'll be back with you guys tomorrow morning for the Farzy Show. Have a great rest of your day. See ya.